Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1656B, and today's date is September 5th, 2018, and the title of the episode is The Public Has the Right to Know. It's time to expose the lies. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, we know that Q has been telling us that information is going to be dropped very soon. Most likely the unredacted 20 pages of the FISA and maybe even the entire IG report. And we know that's coming very soon because Q has been telling us twice now to get prepared for this. And I don't believe this is going to be an easy time for America. And we also know that the deep state, they're going to be putting out information to counter all of this and to distract the American public. And they might even use a false flag of some type, an event, to distract from what is happening here. And we're already starting to see some articles come out where they're going to try to use these articles to distract, have people question. And we're already seeing it from the New York Times. They published an anonymous op-ed. It's a saboteur inside the Trump White House. And basically, this individual who's anonymous says they work inside the White House and they are part of the resistance inside the Trump administration. And we can see right now that they're trying to use whatever they possibly can to combat what is about to drop. They're very nervous and afraid. They're very afraid of what is about to happen here, and they're panicking. And they're going to use everything in their arsenal to combat this. But we can see there are many things moving in the right direction. And this is going to be very, very difficult for them to do this because, once again, they're using anonymous sources. They're using someone saying that they're part of the resistance. They're trying to build something up almost like Q. And I don't think this is going to succeed. I think it's going to fall by the wayside. Already, and it's funny because Q has already mentioned, and Trump has already mentioned, ignore anonymous sources, and they came out as someone being an anonymous source writing an op-ed, which is very interesting by itself. But Judicial Watch, they have obtained emails revealing the Podesta's group worked for pro-Russian Ukrainian political party. Now, they released these new documents from the U.S. Department of State showing that the Podesta group was working on behalf of the pro-Russia Ukrainian political group Party of Regions. The new documents also show longtime Obama and Clinton counselor John Podesta lobbying on behalf of his brother's firm and Judicial Watch. They obtained these documents in a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit. Now, on March 28, 2013, email from now Deputy Executive Secretary in the Office of the Secretary of State Baxter Hunt shows the Podesta group, led by Tony Podesta, a Clinton bundler and brother of Clinton's 2016 campaign chairman John Podesta, represented the Party of Regions, a pro-Kremlin political party in Ukraine. In the March 2013 email to a number of officials, including then U.S. Foreign Service Officer John Teft and State Department Director for the Office of Eastern Europe Alexander Kazanov, like Paul Manafort, who is currently under indictment in the Special Counsel Russian investigation, the Podesta group had to retroactively file Foreign Agent Registration Act disclosures with the Justice Department for Ukrainian-related work. The filing states that the Podesta group provided for the nonprofit European Center for a Modern Ukraine Government Relations and Public Relations Services within the United States and Europe to promote political and economic cooperation between Ukraine and the West. The Podesta group conducted outreach to congressional and executive branch officers, members of the media, non-governmental organizations, and think tanks. Unlike Manafort and his partner Rick Gates, the Mueller special counsel operation hasn't indicted anyone from the Podesta group. So they did this work ahead of time, and then they went back in time to basically register themselves as a foreign agent. And we can see at this time that Mueller has no problem with that. We see that President Obama, it's looking like he must have signed off on the FISA warrant. Now, when we look at this entire case here, the reason there was no FISA court hearing on Carter Page was because then Attorney General Loretta Lynch, under Obama, forced through the application per an obscure loophole in the law. Obama would have had to approve the Carter Page warrant per law in order for the spying to proceed without a court hearing. And here is the rule. It is the 1978 FISA Act, Authorization for Electronic Surveillance for Foreign Intelligence Purposes, Section 102, 50 U.S.C. 1802 A1. Notwithstanding any other law, the President, through the Attorney General, may authorize electronic surveillance without a court order under this title to acquire foreign intelligence information for periods of up to 1 year if the Attorney General certifies in writing under oath. So it looks more and more that President Trump was right when he tweeted shortly after his inauguration that he was spied on by Obama, and actually Q confirms this. So we can see there's a lot of strange things that happen, and it's getting harder and harder for the deep state to explain all of this. And it will get harder and harder because these are facts. This is not propaganda, and it's all coming out right now. We see that Trump is now laying the groundwork to show that Mueller is completely conflicted. Just like he was laying the groundwork, letting us know that Orr and his wife was working for the Russians, was working for Steele. They created the dossier. He's also doing this with Mueller right now. And he's out there saying that Special Counsel Mueller is heading up an illegal investigation rife with conflicts of interest, including Mueller himself. Now, Trump has said the following: I view it as an illegal investigation. It should have never been started. It should have never been allowed to start. You know, I'm not target of this investigation, just in case you don't realize this. And the president went on, and he showed the many reasons he considers the investigation illegal. Remember, as Q has told us in the past, they have everything. They already know all of this. What they're doing right now is they're letting the public know, and the reasons why Mueller can't be pushing this investigation forward and why he was placed in there in the first place. He said, number one, there was no crime. Number two, everybody was conflicted, including Mueller. There are tremendous conflicts here. Among the conflicts that Trump is citing, he's saying that he has interviewed Mueller for the FBI director role just days before he was appointed as special counsel. He was sitting right in the chair. And I liked him, but I didn't give him the job. I had a business dispute with Mueller before that. I had a real business dispute, Trump said. The president's claim of a business dispute reportedly revolved around decade-old golf fees. And he's Comey's best friend, Trump insisted. I could give you 100 pictures of him and Comey hugging and kissing each other. And then somebody from his law firm came out and said, I can't believe they picked Mueller. He hates the president. He hates the president. So that's 4 things. That's 4 right there. So when you look at this, you can see he's building the idea that Mueller is conflicted, which he is. And he continues on with this. He says it's incredible when you look at Andrew Weissman and all these people. Some of the people work for the Hillary Clinton Foundation. It's an incredible thing. Jeannie Ray, a lawyer on Mueller's team, reportedly represented Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation in 2 separate 2015 cases. Honestly, people are very angry about it. People that love our country are very, very angry about it. So I consider it to be an illegal investigation. It should have never been allowed to have happened. Now he's just building this up, letting everyone know all the different conflicts. Because when everything hits the fan, this is what they're going to present to everyone. And they're going to have all the facts and everything behind it to show this is why this whole entire witch hunt shouldn't have been allowed. And there is no crime, and he's not the target. So what is Mueller doing there? After 2 years, he's found nothing. Now, of course, as we know, they're expecting Mueller to present something. Now, you know it's going to be a nothing burger, just like everything else. But they're building this up to make you think that something's going to happen. It's going to happen big because they know, well, they know what's going to happen. Everything's going to be redacted. We're going to see declassification of all the information, and they don't know what to do with this. They already know what it says, and they're going to be lost. Judicial Watch right now is suing the Department of Justice for records about the raid on Michael Cohen's office. And they announced today that they filed this lawsuit, and they want certain information. They want all records of correspondence and communications between the Office of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and the Office of Special Counsel Robert Mueller concerning, regarding, or relating to the April 9th, 2018 raids on the office. They want the search and seizure warrants executed by the FBI at the office and hotel room of Michael Cohen, the application for the above referenced warrant and any affidavits submitted in support of the application, all records about the recusal of U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman from the Michael Cohen investigation. So they're looking for all this information. And of course, you know what's going to happen. They're going to try to delay this because they know that this was completely illegal and against everything that America stands for. And they know what they've done here. And I think they were set up. I think this was planned from the beginning because they knew what was going to happen. And this is why Michael Cohen was leading them on all this time. And Lanny Davis came out with this, one-liner, and the mainstream media, took it and ran with it. And everyone was like, oh my God, he's done and finished. That's it. We're done here. And it turns out to be absolutely nothing. And then the mainstream media had to go back and say, yeah, this is not what Cohen said. This is what the lawyer said. It was all made up. We see Rahm Emanuel says no to a third term, which is kind of strange. And a Q in one of the posts says, well, add him to the list. Well, looks like he's getting ready to run and disappear. We see right now that the FCC chairman, Ajit Pai, well, he is saying, listen, we need to see more transparency from these social media companies. And this is what he said. We need to seriously think about whether the time has come for these companies to abide by new transparency obligations. Federal Communications Chairman Ajit Pai said in a blog post a day ahead of congressional hearings with executives from Twitter and Facebook. But how do these companies make decisions, he said, about what we see and what we don't? And who makes those decisions? We still don't know, and we need transparency. Remember Q? Remember Trump? They were talking about regulations. Well, here it comes. We see social media giants, they were testifying in front of Congress, but guess who didn't show up? Google did not show up. And Google was a no-show at the Senate Intelligence Committee, and they decided that they didn't need to show up whatsoever. And they decided to decline to send the CEO of its parent company, Alphabet CEO Larry Page, to testify. So there was an empty chair. And, of course, they're looking like they're above all this. And they're going to be called back. And we're going to see regulations. It's just a matter of time. Now, the deep state, they are fighting back any way they possibly can. And we know that they use the Five Eyes to spy on all the different countries. The problem that they've been having is encryption. And we know from James Comey, if we go back in time, and this is why we're tracking all this stuff, remember when we were having all these false flag events and James Comey was out there in front of Congress saying, we need the keys to all encryption. We should be able to see everyone's message. You don't have the right to privacy. And Apple said, no, we're not doing this. Everything's staying encrypted. You cannot see any of this. And of course, they dropped the case because there was an Israeli company that was able to break the encryption on this particular phone because it was involved in this shooting in San Bernardino, and they dropped it for the time being. Now the Five Eyes, which is a global network of intelligence agencies, they want easier access to your private and encrypted messages. Now remember, under the Constitution, Bill of Rights, we have the right to privacy. But other countries don't have to abide by this. So New Zealand, UK, Australia, individuals from this country, like Obama, Clinton, Brennan, they can go over to those countries and gather the information that they get and sift through it. And it's not breaking any laws. So they found a way around this. The problem is the encryption. Now, if it's not government encryption, they don't have the method or the key. And this has been their problem. So they can't see certain communications. And they don't like this because they like to know everything. So what they're saying right now is they want all countries, especially the U.S., to give them the right to see the encrypted messages. They want the method and the keys to all the tech companies' encrypted messages. And they're telling us that we don't have the right to privacy. Well, yeah, we do. And they're trying to make the case of why we don't have the right to privacy right now. And what they're saying here is that, listen, cracking your files, and this is the argument they're using, is no more sinister than a patrol cop searching your vehicle or house. Yeah, but they need a warrant for that. Privacy laws must prevent arbitrary or unlawful interference, but privacy is not absolute. Yes, it is. In this country, it is. And they said if the companies don't cooperate voluntarily, the Five Eyes have ways of making them talk. Stubborn companies may be hit with a technological enforcement, legislative, or other measures, the agencies warned, without elaborating on what those measures might be. So they're trying to blackmail these tech companies into giving them complete and utter access. And we can see that they're trying to find out everything that's going on because they're desperate. They're freaking out. Let's move into Afghanistan. We can see that peace talks are moving forward. We know that the Taliban had a meeting with Russia, and now the Taliban is saying, listen, they are now in favor of direct peace negotiations with the Afghan authorities without waiting for the participation of other parties. We don't want the U.S., Iran, Russia, or anyone, Pakistan, anyone else involved. We believe that the Taliban and the Afghan government should work together and talk by themselves. And that's the message that they're putting out right now. And it looks like they're going to be getting together and they're going to be talking about peace. We see in Libya, there might be another Libyan ceasefire. They announced it after 61 people were killed and inmates in a prison broke out. And it looks like the announcement was made between the UN-backed unity government, which was not an elected government, and many of the different factions within Libya. And especially with General Haftar in Libya, we see at this point that things are really chaotic there. And most likely this UN-backed unity government, they're going to lose their power in Libya and the people are going to take over. Israel has finally admitted, they've come clean, that they supported terrorist groups, the moderate rebels, the paid mercenaries in Syria. Now, they had an operation. It was called Operation Good Neighbor. And everyone thought that, this is a humanitarian type of mission where they're helping people. Well, it was a code name. And in fact, they were giving many different groups within Syria, within the Golan Heights, light arms and munitions. And Syria has claimed this for years. They pointed this out. The mainstream media said this was fake news. Israel said this is fake news. And now it's turning out to be true. Now, in addition to lethal arms, what else did Israel provide? They provided enough supplies to feed and clothe a small army. 3,359,000 pounds of food, 551,000 pounds of clothes, 250,000 gallons of fuel, 21 electrical generators, and 24,900 pallets of medical equipment. So everything that they were telling us in the past has been fake, phony, and false. We see that Russia now is bombing the Idlib area, and of course the White House is out there. They've issued a statement that if there is a gas attack or something happens, they're going to respond swiftly and appropriately. Of course they are. This is all part of the plan. Now Russia's coming in, they're bombing the area, and if there is a false flag, a chemical attack, the U.S. is going to hit those certain areas where the deep state is hiding out, the paid mercenaries. And we're going to have to see how this plays out. But we can see already the bombing runs have already started. We see already with the UN that the political process in Syria has begun. So already the last terrorist outpost is being destroyed. And if the U.S. has to get involved because the deep state tries something, we're going to bomb that area. And of course, it's not going to be Syria. It's not going to be anything but the terrorist group, the paid mercenaries, the rebels, their infrastructure, and everything that they have there. So this way, Russia and Syria can go in and liberate the entire area. And we already see that the Syrian political process has begun. So what does that mean? That means the troops are going to be coming home. We're at the end stage here. Let's move into some of Q's posts. Q dropped a couple posts today and yesterday, so let's go through a couple of them here. September 4th, post 2076. Example 1, being afraid. Does Hillary Clinton care about you? If she cared about protecting you, would she sell out America's secrets and uranium to China, Russia? Example 1, bold with parentheses. They always thought if charges were brought versus them, they would ultimately be safe. And Q put in parentheses, bold, Supreme Court control. They also said, Q also said, Adam Schiff, in brackets, bold, out. Hillary Clinton appointments. End of all ends. Final. Did Anthony Kennedy have a choice? Was this the original plan according to Clinton's election win? What evidence was he shown? Ruth Bader Ginsburg replacement, lifetime appointment, age. What's at stake? And then Q gave all these links to Hillary Clinton's tweets. Let me read a couple of them to you. Happy Labor Day. There's no better time to talk about why workers' rights would suffer if Brett Kavanaugh, whose hearing for a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court starts tomorrow, is confirmed. The Roberts Court has dealt some big blows to workers and unions in the last few years. With Kavanaugh on the court, a 5-4 hard right majority would be even more aggressive in siding with corporations over people. In 2007, Kavanaugh wrote an opinion that severely limited union rights and allowed major damage to federal workers' ability to bargain collectively. In 2014, he dissented in a case where the Occupational Safety and Health Administration held SeaWorld accountable for the death of a trainer. Now, it goes on and on and on. And basically, she's trying to make the case of why Kavanaugh cannot be elected to this position, because if he is, it's really bad for her. And Q went on to say, pain comes in many different forms. Full control. Enjoy the show. Q. Now, an Anon put up, stage, Supreme Court, Adam Schiff, brackets, 187, kill order, 187, uranium 1 fund, supply, Iran, North Korea, brackets, reduce U.S. capacity, kill NASA, prevent space domination, allowed bad actors to take down military sats, World War, secure comms, install weapons of mass destruction. Risk of EMP space origin, helpless. Class 1-99, in brackets, Clinton 8, World War III, death and weapons real, war fake and controlled. Population growth controlled, pocket billions. Eliminate final rogue ops with government military, kill economy, starve, need, enslave, open borders, revised constitution, ban sale of firearms, Second Amendment removed, install on-team special court justices, legal wins across spectrum of challenges, AS 187. So basically, if she was there and in control, and the deep state was in control, these things would have happened. And we kind of all know this. That we would be in this war, the United States would lose, population would be decreased, the Constitution would be completely gone, the rights of the people would be completely gone, and the whole thing was planned, and now it's falling apart. Let's move on to post 2077. Q put up 2 links. One is Twitter. This is from Doug Ducey, and it reads, I am deeply grateful for Senator Kyle for agreeing to succeed his friend and colleague of so many years. Every single day that John Kyle represents Arizona in the U.S. Senate is a day our state is well served. And there's the other link, which is Fox News. John Kyle named to succeed John McCain in the Senate. So we can see that he was replaced, and most likely, since this individual is now there, this individual might be the swing vote to get Brett Kavanaugh into position. Post 2078, Q put up a link saying Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel announces will not seek re-election. Add to the list, Q says. Q, another one, gone. Post 2079, Imam Tawhidi tweeted out, John McCain was on his way to become an American hero, but instead became a senator for the Islamic State and the Muslim Brotherhood. No American senator fought for the Islamic rights and the arming of jihadists like Senator McCain. And we know, we've seen many, many pictures of McCain. He was in pictures with the paid mercenaries, with the Islamic State leader, with the rebels. He went there with Lindsey Graham. And we've seen this many, many times before. Now, there are two links to two different tweets. The one I just read. The other one is from Kyle Morris. And it reads, I don't care what you think. I don't care if they're not candidates that you like. I don't need you to like them. I need you to vote Democrat. And this is coming from Linda Sarsour, and Kyle Morris put that in the tweet. So we can see what is happening right now. They're becoming very, very desperate. And again, McCain is a traitor to the United States. Post 2080, Q put up a picture of Clinton, and she's wearing a necklace, and this is a cross, but the cross is upside down, and it says, note the satanic cross she wears. And then Q put up another picture of Chelsea. She's also wearing an upside down cross, and Q says, like mother, like daughter, Q. We move on to post 2081. Now, Q put up a previous post, which is 2074, of Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, and it looks like there's a little line in there, and it says, Facebook outages today, shadow bans lifted 24, and someone put in, Twitter re-engages shadow banning across entire platform. And Q put up a link, which is a Twitter link from Breaking 911, and it says, Twitter doesn't shadow ban. It's not political. And Q says, clockwork, Q. And of course, they're going to continually deny this. They're not going to let on or anything like that. Post 2082, Q put up the same thing we read from Imam Tawhidi about John McCain. And below that, put up post 1649. And I'll read the part that the Anon wrote down. Please do not let No Name off the hook. He is a disgrace to veterans across the great country and needs to be held accountable. Under it, it says, think Supreme Court, vote to confirm coming. Now, think about this for a second. They have this individual that replaced McCain, and it looks like this individual might be the swing vote to get this individual into office. And it's going everything against probably No Name wanted. So Q knew that McCain would be gone before the Supreme Court confirmation hearing. And apparently Q knew that someone who would approve Kavanaugh would take McCain's place. What are the odds? Well, it looks like the odds are pretty darn good because that's what happened. Post 2083, Q put up post 2066 here, and it says both C3H A5 chambers, House Senate in session, and it looks like, he's talking about everyone is coming back into session, the House, the Senate, and below that says a week to remember. Now, yesterday we talked about all these different numbers. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it spells out declass. Now, Q never said exactly when this was going to be declassified. Never really mentioned it, but I think it's going to happen after Kavanaugh is confirmed. I don't think they want this to happen before. I think they want it to happen after. Why? Because they need the power in the Supreme Court. If you're going to try these people, if you're going to bring them to justice, you're going to need the Supreme Court. And I think this is what they've been waiting for. Because if they declassified before this happened, before Kavanaugh was confirmed, it would really be very disruptive and it really wouldn't be good. Let them have the hearings. Let them look at Kavanaugh and then put him into the position. Post 2084, Q put up a link to Reddit. This is a football rating is going up almost, and it shows a little video of Hillary Clinton, Obama on one team, and Trump and the Patriots on the other team. And Clinton has the ball. Obama is, telling Clinton, run this way, run this way. Clinton's running with the ball, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you see Trump tackle her on the 17th yard line. And Q says they never thought she would lose. How fitting. And in the post, it says almost made it, but they didn't win. They were brought down on the 17-yard line. There's that number 17 again. So we move on to post 2085. Q put everything up that we just discussed about this little football video. And if you want to see the football video, you can come over to the X22Report.com site, click on the report title, scroll down to post 2084, click on the link, and it'll bring you right over to the video. If you're on YouTube, you're seeing the video already. Post 2085, put everything up in 2084, and says, what are the odds of that? They never thought she would lose. Now, it's funny that they mentioned the 17-yard line. And people were talking about on the boards about the 17th. And what's very interesting, if you look up the 17th of September, it's Constitution Day 2018. Now, this is very interesting because on September 17th, 1787, the delegates to the Constitutional Convention met for the last time to sign the document they had created. Now, remember, the Constitution itself is written for the purpose of limiting government, not the people. The true source of all power originates from the people. We are the ultimate mechanism of enforcement for the entire Constitution, including the checks and balances systems specified in it. The Constitution can't defend itself. We defend it, even as it ensures that we can defend ourselves with the Second Amendment. So 2018, as Q has said, is going to be glorious. And we see right now this, and I'm just putting this out there because of the number 17, this might happen on the 17th of September, which is the signing of the Constitution, which is Constitution Day, and this would really give it to the deep state. So it might happen this day, it might not happen, but it's very interesting. They mentioned the 17-yard line. The 17th of September is Constitution Day. Just very interesting. Post 2086, Q put up something about Clinton here. Let me read a part of it here. And it says, as the Russians gradually assume control of Uranium One in 3 separate transactions from 2009 to 2013, Canadian records show a flow of cash made its way to the Clinton Foundation. Uranium One's chairman used his family foundation to make 4 donations totaling $2.35 million. Those contributions were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite an agreement Mrs. Clinton had struck with the Obama White House to publicly identify all donors. Other people with ties to the company made donations as well, and shortly after the Russians announced their intention to acquire a majority stake in Uranium One, Mr. Clinton received $500,000 for a Moscow speech from a Russian investment bank with links to the Kremlin. That was, and it doesn't finish. And below it says, letter from the Committee on Financial Services, brackets bold, Maxine Waters, California, ranking member. Put up a link to financialserviceshouse.gov about members. How do you obstruct oversight? How do you obtain inside knowledge to closed-door financial investigations? Maxine Waters, California, ranking member. Those who are the loudest have the most to fear. Brackets bold, hide. And it shows a video, Fox News, and it shows some clips, and this is with Tucker Carlson asking the question, how did Maxine Waters afford a $4.3 million mansion? Because she makes, what, $173,000 a year or $174,000 a year? How is it possible? Actually, let's take this a little step further here. It's amazing how these congressmen and congresswomen net worth is tens to hundreds of millions of dollars on both the Republican and Democrat side. How is it possible when they're making $174,000 a year? Pretty hard to explain. And these are the names of the Financial Committee members not returning next year. Representative Hen Sarling, Representative Royce, Representative Steve Pierce, Representative Capuno, Keith Ellison, Representative Pittenger, Representative Delaney, Representative Messer, Representative Sinema, Representative Trott. So many of these individuals are either running for Senate or they're just not returning. So we can see right now, those who are screaming the loudest, they have a lot to lose. Post 2087 put everything from post 2076, this was about Clinton and all the tweets, put up example 2, being afraid, witch hunt. And there's just more tweets of Clinton going off on Kavanaugh. She's trying to do whatever she possibly can. I don't think it's her tweeting. I think it's somebody else trying to do whatever they possibly can to stop what is happening. Let's move on to post 2088. Q put up a picture, and this picture is of Jack Posobiec. And it's an older picture, and they got it off the internet. And Q put, wait, what? You're telling me Q just posted again? But Micro told me he was ending the LARP. I feel so used. And Q went on to say, ask yourself a simple logical question. Why are the majority of Q attacks by pro-MAGA supporters coming from Alex Jones, and then this is in brackets, Moss-backed and or Alex Jones known associates? Why are we a threat to them? Why not simply publish an original picture plus minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility? Why was this done in the past? We knew this type of attack was coming. Predictable fake news attacks will only intensify. And I don't think Q is referring to a Mossad. I think he's referring to the Moss protocol. This is the communications, the common communication link, which stands for Media Object Server Communications Protocol. This is an evolving protocol for communications between newsroom computer systems and media object servers, such as video servers, audio servers, still stores, character generators. This protocol is supported and developed through cooperative collaboration among equipment vendors, software vendors, and end users. The goal is to develop and maintain a common communications protocol. So when we look at this, we can see that Q is saying that these individuals are attacking Q and they're pro-MAGA. Why is this happening? Well, let's move on to post 2089. And Q continued with this and says, why not post originals plus minus pictures 1, 2, 3 secs to establish credibility? Example, Air Force One 5A 2 posted on 11/9/17. Air Force One 5A 3 posted on 5/22/18. 2-second stream, prepared, predictable. This is not a game. These people are stupid. Now, for those who are not following this, during Trump's first trip to Asia, Q posted pics from the window of a plane that corresponded with Trump's flight paths, and I believe had North Korea pictures below. No one can be sure of what Q is, but you can be damn sure he isn't some creation of random Twitter trolls that want to spill to Jack. I believe someone asked Q why he didn't post original pictures of Jack when it only takes 1 to 3 seconds to establish credibility. Q reminds us that he posted many original pictures already to establish credibility. For example, 2 pictures, 2-second stream from Air Force One. So Q is again providing legitimacy and saying that they expected these assaults because they were predictable. So they were prepared and shared pics no one else could have to help establish credibility. It's a reference to this old drop. And Q is establishing that, yes, we are real. And of course, you have to remember when Corsi and the rest said, that there was a trip code change. Q is not Q anymore. He's been taken over. And it turns out that this was completely fake, phony, and false. And Q is just telling you that there are certain individuals that are working against or working for others for a different agenda. Post 2090 put up a New York Times article that Jerome Corsi is now subpoenaed to testify in front of Mueller. And why is this happening? Well, what's very interesting about the article starts off with Jerome Corsi, a conspiracy theorist and political commentator. So it looks like they're bringing the conspiracy theorist part into this, maybe try to debunk Q or something like that and play off of that. But we'll have to see, and we'll have to see if any other Anons come up with something about this post. Post 2091 and post 2092. We see there's two articles. One from Politico saying Trump classified documents Russia. Do you believe in coincidences? The other one is Trump may declassify the 20 FISA docs. This is from Sarah Carta saying, do you believe in coincidences? Now, what we're seeing here is that they're building the idea that Trump is going to be declassifying these documents. And the first article is Politico saying that certain individuals want Trump to declassify. Trump is looking to declassify these, and he might take matters into his own hands. And that brings us back to the September 17th date when the delegates signed the Constitution back in September 17th, 1787. So once again, this might happen on the day. I'm not saying it's going to, so don't get upset if it doesn't, but it seems like this is the right day for all of this to come out, showing we the people are strong on Constitution Day. We will see what happens. Q has not confirmed this yet. Maybe Q will. We don't know. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.